Good evening, everyone. Adjust the camera a bit. So, first off, congratulations to Jacob. Roman Missile Exegy. Link in the description box to his channel. He just got accepted into grad school, and I am very happy for him. Also, belated birthday shout out to Kazoom. Link for him too. If you like people who drone on about nothing as much as I do, you can go check out his channel. Listen to him like a podcast, like you do me with my rambles, because I know you do. World of Warcraft players. He's more topical. I'm more life stories from myself, but he's at least better than fucking Mr. Repsion. You know? Not just at least. He's way better than Mr. Repsion. In my market, I had another YouTuber, Daxon Islander, sitting in the office with me today. He also has the Psychological Cynic channel. And one of the things he played, because he's subscribed to him, was a Mr. Repsion video about #BanBossy. And it was very difficult for me to hear fake anger out of Mr. Repsion over this really stupid, meaningless little thing. It's a little issue, you know, and to, like, be all righteous with his indignation and just, you know, say, you are being bossy by trying to ban a word, you know, and trying to turn it on them and making a big thing about that hypocrisy. It was just, you know, if Kazoom did it, I would feel it, and it would mean something. I'm just saying, sometimes androids shouldn't try to fake emotions. Anyways, about that BanBossy thing, #BanBossy, I had a conversation with Damon Cohn. He still has a Facebook anyway. And basically, I said, trying to ban a word like bossy is it's not productive, because, you know, I know this because of my English degree in the background right there. Once you take out a word from the English language and make it taboo, another word takes its place. Okay? And there are entire lineages of euphemisms where in certain decades a certain word is okay and then it's not. Okay? Like, it, for instance, it's been a few decades that the word cool has been acceptable. Okay? You can say cool when something is pleasing to you, right? But radical would have been in the 80s, and groovy would have been in the 70s, you know, and on. But for negative words, like they're trying to make bossy out to be, you have a lineage like stupid, then retarded, then special, then learning challenged, then handy capable, and on and on. And each time that word comes out, the new word, it means what those people want it to mean for a little while. And then the meaning changes. Basically to mean the same thing that it's always meant. And you can keep swapping out the words, but it's just going to turn into a joke for someone. And I was watching with April, Dax's mom, something on the news about Band Bossy, and they said, women who have this term bossy used on them, it's like the first term, and then it's like assertive and aggressive and all, and they really worked to tiptoe around saying bitchy. If you're gonna ban a word, I'd go all the way and say, you know what? Calling an assertive, aggressive leader of a woman bitchy is the problem. Ban bossy is just like the PG version of it, because really, on down the line, the word bitchy to me is the problem. That's where it's something where it's a gender specific word, and you don't call men bitchy. Very rarely would you ever. It just seems like it's got the female gender attached to it. Bossy, men get called bossy. I get called bossy because I'm a boss. Duh. But yeah. Kazoom would probably do a better job at talking about this issue too, because I don't care that much. It's not part of my life. Today, in my life, my day started with me almost giving myself an air embolism. You guys know what that is? Okay, so today was the day that I took my shot for my low T problem that I've talked about on my channel before. And I forgot to flick the needle and then push the air bubble all the way out, right? So I already had the needle in me, and I was halfway through putting this medicine in me, and I see that bubble getting closer, and I'm like, wait a second, I was supposed to get rid of that bubble. So the very, very last bit of the serum, I did not inject into myself because it had that bubble in it, and I was like, you know what, I don't need that serum if it comes with the bubble. But it was kind of a wake-up call for me that maybe I shouldn't do that in the morning. Wait till I'm alert, because I forgot a step. And yeah, I'm sure it's not like in the movies or anything, but I just don't want any air bubbles in me artificially. And then I went through my whole workday, which was very long. And I get home, and my brother's Chihuahua, Rosie, is behind the pet gate, locked into that one little room. The dog's really, really happy to see me. I'm like, I'm really happy to see you too, but I think you're probably in doggy jail for a reason. I don't know what the reason is that you're in doggy jail, but I'm not going to change it for you. And I wonder, is that kind of like against the whole Good Samaritan thing? To just see somebody or something in a certain position and figure it's there for a reason, why would you help out when there might be a good reason why someone is there? I have a lot of discussions about helping people, especially with some of my new vendors who are more religious, because I do help a lot of people, and I have a couple of things that we do for the community in my market, especially the cell phones, the Lifeline cell phones. That just always brings up the topic of helping people. But at least in this case, when I didn't help someone or something, this dog I know is a bad dog. It's a little shark dog that likes to chew up everything, including the dog door. So we can't even have a flap to the dog door because the dog will chew up the rubber on the dog door. Anyways, I was going to start this whole video explaining my progress for my experiment. You guys might have listened to the rambles where I talked about my previous experiments in my market, such as having a table full of vintage tins and a table full of glass and watching people walk by both, and then taking both of them and making a checkerboard pattern out of them and watching how it increased the average time somebody spent in the market by about 2 or 3 minutes, when we basically made no rhyme or reason. So we kind of proved that if you want stuff to sell out of your booth or store or anything, organizing it to where the brain can easily categorize it makes people walk by things, because their brain goes, oh, that's glass, I don't need it. Oh, that's tins, I don't need it. Oh, that's old rusty things, I don't need that. Oh, that's books, I don't need that. Take the books and use the covers as decorations behind other things, and they sell. Leave them on a shelf, and they don't sell. Borders has a problem, and that's probably it. Because you could probably take those same books and put them behind displays at Kohl's and JCPenney and make them sell. Just saying, I see it all the time. Books that I use just because they have great cover art get sold. Books like on the UK or hot air balloons or whatnot, and just filled with pictures. Bridges, boring coffee table books. They will sell if you put them in a way where the picture just looks nice on the cover. Well, this next experiment that I tried was in reaction to losing a booth vendor who I felt like he didn't put enough effort into stocking his booth. He didn't have enough items in his booth to pay for his booth, even if they all sold. And he was primarily a pencil sketch artist, but he did a lot of paintings as well, and a lot of etching on glass art and stuff like that. But and some t-shirts. But his paintings seem to sell the best. And what I decided to do was start a booth myself in my own market and keep putting paintings in it in order to prove that somebody could hold down a booth in my market just based on having paintings in it. So in various months I was able to make a profit, or at least hold down the booth, if I were paying rent on this booth. And in just the first half of March, I've sold 26 paintings, which is over $260, because $10 would be like the lowest that I would ever sell a painting for. So, well above what it would take to have a booth in my market at that size. Actually, 4 times as much. So, I know that the market is worth it. I know that, somebody can achieve this. It just takes enough product. You just have to put your heart into it in order to make it work. And as the market gets more foot traffic, when people, realize that we're there, or become regulars, or marketing works or whatnot, as we become more of a staple in the community, more people will come in, and it'll be easier for somebody to hold down a booth. Well, the next experiment I wanted to do, considering how well I've done with that, is kind of crazy. And on my Facebook, I know that I've spelled it out for people, but some people still aren't. They didn't see all of the different posts, and they have questions. Why am I putting, experiment progress and then a number? Basically, I think that if I go to a high traffic enough area, I can take that entire bunch of paintings that I have and make enough money in successive weeks of picking like one day a week, and sell enough paintings to pay for my entire business, my entire market. And that goal is, we'll say, 50 times more, I guess, lofty, ambitious. It's 50 times more ambitious than trying to hold down a booth. 50 times. Now, granted, I'm already 4 times better than a booth just having my booth, but I know, and this hurts me to say it, but my market doesn't have the foot traffic to complete this experiment, so I need to take a giant stack of paintings to a place where there's a lot of foot traffic. And so I will be picking, this fair or that fair where there's a giant amount of foot traffic there. And I will be selling my paintings, like booth style at a fair. I'm going to pick one day out of a week to do that. And in order to achieve my goal, I think I at least need to sell in a week 100 paintings. Some of these are very, very simple. I'd say today the most simple one I did was a Broncos logo. And drawing something from a video game, whatnot, very, very easy for me. Little cartoons, whatnot. Some of these paintings that I put out do take me like hours to make, but some of them take me minutes to make, and I can still turn a profit on it. So today, with Dax's help, basically he was running defense for me in the market so that I wouldn't be disturbed. I put out 29 paintings, and I'd say they were all of acceptable quality to sell. Now, I'm not even a fan of my own work sometimes. I will accept the label prolific. And in fact, guy Darren from my city who met me through my store, he says I need to take a vacation from painting. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of driven. And as of this recording right now, I'm about halfway to what I would consider an acceptable inventory if I was going to pull off this experiment. I chose 600 paintings as the level where I can go pull this experiment off and actually get usable data to see if somebody could actually do this. At the rate that I'm going, if I get to about 30 in a day, I could paint 5 days in a row to replenish the inventory, and then pick one of the weekend days in order to take my fair setup out. And I believe that with the proper foot traffic for this experiment, which has to be huge, really huge, I could sell about a quarter of the paintings that I do. One of the keys to this being variety. And if you check my Facebook, which is connected to my YouTube channel, you just go to the channel and check the Facebook click. You can see that I've been putting out pretty much whatever anyone has been asking for. I am a painting whore. Not a painting machine like Darren was saying. I'm a painting whore. Turned out trick whore. And I still have a list of things that I have as far as requests from other people. Today, somebody requested that I paint a dragonfly with the Om symbol inside the wings of the dragonfly, like the veins in the wings, you know. And I told her, you know, if I made it symmetrical, it would say Om on one of the wings and not the other. But no, she wants it to say Om on both wings. It was weird because well, she said that she was actually wanting this for a tattoo, and I had just posted the night before that people need to be wary of using my art as tattoo material because I hide penises in my artwork. And it's okay if you need to go check my artwork and try to see if you can find that. That's fine. Be like the Little Mermaid poster, you know. People are going to see what they're going to see. But I guess I just didn't want my tattoos or my paintings to end up as tattoos for anyone until I saw the plan for the tattoo. I don't know why. Anyways, she bought a painting and she ordered another one. And I have a dry erase board that's filling up with ideas for paintings. But those are just paintings that are going to be sold on the way to getting to my critical mass of being able to pull off my experiment of 600 paintings. Today I was plus 29, but I was minus 1. Because one sold. Tomorrow is Saturday, which is a big sales day in my market, so I'm probably going to be down another couple. And because it's so busy, probably not going to start painting until 6 p.m. So I'm probably only going to kick out, a little over 10. Probably at least 10. By the time I feel like just driving home and quitting. But I think by the weekend of March 29th or 30th, that weekend, we'll finally have the inventory that we need to pull this off. Because what I see in my market, the reason why I want to pull off this experiment, what I see is, for a certain number of people that walk through the door, I will sell a painting. Right? And a lot of them are people that did not come in for that painting because they saw it on Facebook or they saw it on Craigslist or something. They're coming in for that for no reason at all. And they're walking by and they're buying a painting. And so if I'm going to go to a high traffic area like a fair with thousands of people, I'm going to need a couple hundred paintings to sell to them in order to see if this rate holds true with larger numbers in a crowd. That's what I'm testing. I'm testing this rate. Right now, it's a rate of 30 to 50 people through the door of the market equals a painting sold. And most of that is probably due to the variety and the total shillingness of my work, because nothing is original. Because we have other artists who have booths in my market that do not sell as well, and it's mostly original work. And all of mine is derivative, and maybe right now, see, I used to say that like 10% of my stuff was original, and right now 1% maybe is original. Like, did not come from any idea of anything or any theme anywhere at all. 1%. I am a painting whore. So, as far as compliments I will take, there's prolific, and there's a really good whore. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, past the experiment and all that other crap that I just talked about, the last thing I wanted to get off my chest to you guys in this ramble was a talk about externalities. It's a economics concept. If you don't know what it is, I'm not going to be able to explain it to you in the book way that would be correct. Okay? In the way that I understand it, it is make sure you don't incur costs by pushing those costs off onto other people so that you can maximize your profits, and you don't care about whether other people profit or lose profits because of you, because you are thinking about you and only you. So stay self-centered, self-interested, and push all the other costs that you can off onto other people in order to be more profitable. That's what externalities is all about. Pushing all of the things that you can push as far as costs onto other people, or just no one. Just like one example might be a factory that produces a form of pollution that they just dump into the environment, and for a while no one incurs the cost because no one cleans it up, and it just goes into the environment. A lot of that stuff on the Mississippi River, it would just end up in the Gulf and diluted to the point where it's still not good for the environment, but nobody's going to clean it up because it's gotten down to parts per million, and how would you? You know, it's kind of pointless to do parts per million cleanup over the entire Gulf. So there's that kind of externalities, but there's the one that I run into the most, which is people not liking the business model of my market where people rent booth space and preferring to have or to look for a consignment store whereby they can put their things in that store for free, and they're also looking for a consignment store that doesn't judge their things. See, that's what part of the booth rent in my market. You know, when people have their own space, they can put whatever they want in it. So they like that aspect, but that's very unlike a normal consignment store, because a normal consignment store has a set amount of floor space, and they know it, you know. And if they don't want something in their store because it's not going to sell, they're not going to accept it from you. But, you know, I get certain people that they would like a booth to stock with stuff for free, and then, you know, just when the things sell, at that point, they also don't want any commission taken off of it, you know, or very, very little, you know, to where it would be completely not profitable for me at all. You know, if they could just write their own contract, it would say at every point in my contract where, you know, I am making money, they would take that part and go, no, I don't want to pay that part, I don't want to pay that part, I want everything for free, and I want you to go ahead and pay the rent on this building, you know, and pay the employees that keep up the place, and pay for all the toilet supplies and all this, and I'm just going to use your space and sell my stuff, and you're going to take the money when I'm not there, you know, and handle that for me and give me a check and do all that other services for free. That's what they would want, right? And if not for free, then, you know, can they get a discount? They want the same amount of services, but, you know, everyone's always looking to get, you know, a lower price on things. So I'm used to that sort of externality type thinking, because I run into it probably daily. And the look on some people's faces when they hear me not describe the store as a consignment store. Because one of the first things that they'll ask is either, do you take things on consignment, or do you guys buy antiques? And I've stopped answering that to the affirmative, because the first question, do we take things on consignment, that it's misleading to them if I say yes. Yes, there are things sitting in the market where people can sell them, and they don't have to be there for the sale. They just go up to the front desk and buy it, and it gets tracked to their booth number. Yes, and that is a consignment model, but they paid rent on that space that it was in. So it's not consignment. And that part is something that people just will not get through their heads if I say, to begin with, yes, we take things on consignment. Because at that point, they're like, oh, I can put something in here and sell it for free. You know, no upfront cost. That's what I'm looking for. I want everything free. Right? And the second question being the other question I hear the most of is, do you guys buy antiques? it's like the beginning of a flow chart where the last thing, the last point on that flow chart is I am taking money out of my wallet and giving it to them. Right? And the first part of this flow chart that they have, where no matter how you answer, it's supposed to whittle down to whatever they have, you're buying it. The first question on that thing is, do you guys buy antiques? Because as soon as they've established that we buy antiques, a lot of them want to turn in their antiques to me as if they are savings bonds. Like there's a set price that this antique is worth because I looked it up in this manual, in this blue book, in this wizard comic rating guide, in this whatever it is that they looked it up on. I looked it up on eBay and it's worth this much because this other person is selling it for this much. And it's right there on Buy It Now. Right? No, it's not fucking worth that. But people will want to turn it into me and say, could you please give me my money? And it all starts with, do you buy? And then if I say yes to that question, and then they try to sell it to me, and I don't want to buy it, they're like, well, I thought you were, a store that bought antiques. You said that you buy antiques. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I like yours. Besides which, I do not have a pawnbroker's license, so I can't buy off the street from people like a pawnbroker would. I have to have a business relationship with them, and this pretty much is covered with all the booth vendors because I have a contract with them, and I have copies of their ID and all that stuff. But people don't want to understand that. All they want to understand is they get no risk and the money now, and you bear all the risk and give them the money. And no matter what it is that is part of the transaction, there will always be somebody who pushes an externality off onto you. If you're continuously doing the same transaction with multiple people, there'll be one of them that'll find a way to put a little bit of the added cost of that business dealing off onto you. I have one booth vendor who, rather than label all of his items, put a sign next to some items, right? Well, when that item gets brought up to the front desk, when that person's not in their booth, if there's no booth number and price on it, there's no sale. Now, the person behind the register will say, where did you get this? And then they have to go walk out to that booth and see that sign. Verify the price. Well, all of that extra work right there is an externality that we clamp down on because the person at the till, at the register, shouldn't have to walk through the store down to that booth and see what the price is. It should be labeled right the fuck on it. But there are some people who don't want to label each and everything. They want to push it off onto us. And I have to fight that battle whenever I find it and explain to them why we can't do it. And all of this talk about externalities is building up to this one thing that pissed me off 2 days ago. So, this is not roid rage, by the way. This is not any sort of, chemical imbalance in my head. I really feel like I'm on the right track with the way that I'm thinking about this. Okay? Little old lady, probably about 75, 80 years old, comes into my market, goes up to the front desk. Now Dax was running defense for me. I was painting a painting. And Dax, he says, "How can I help you?" And she says, "Who do the dumpsters outside there, out around the building, who do they belong to?" And, at that point, Dax just does not know. So he has to defer to me, and I have to stop painting, take my paintbrush, put it in my water jar, and I go over and I talk to her. And I tell her, well, those are communally owned by everyone in the shopping complex. We pay for the service, and, is there a problem? Were you guys trying to ask to use it? And she says, no. You see, my husband, he threw a lot of things away, and in one of the bags that he threw away was the deed to our house. And I was just wondering if it would be okay for us to do some dumpster diving to get it back. We tried looking, but since he put the trash in the dumpster, a whole bunch of other trash was put on top of it, and we can't get to it. Is there someone that we could talk to get everything dumped out so that we can look through? Because we just can't get in there. We're too old. And I was civil. I gave this lady the number for the property management company because I really needed this out of my face immediately. Because here I am running a fucking business, okay? And what she's asking is, would you mind terribly if we took your dumpster off to the side of the building and dumped it out in your parking lot to look for trash that we threw in your dumpster without your permission? Right? Would you mind if we tore apart all these bags of trash and just stunk up the place? And oh my goodness. Would you mind? After we basically trespassed to use your dumpster. Now, it was basically the way that she did not even realize how wrong she was. How in the wrong she was. That stuff shouldn't be there in the first place. And, there was no use in me being angry with her because she's just not thinking on the same level as me. I'm thinking, wow, you found a way to, push your garbage problems when, because you don't want to pay to have extra bags of trash picked up. So you in the middle of the night, sneak on over to the nearest shopping center that has dumpsters, and you just use their dumpsters and put that cost off onto all of us. And then you have the nerve to ask if you can interrupt my business and dump the dumpster, making everything ugly and unsightly in front of my business so that you can dig for the trash that you shouldn't have put there in the first place. Before she left, I did tell her that they can get a copy of their deed down at the county courthouse in the basement where they keep the records. And to my knowledge, that's what they did because nobody dumped a dumpster in the parking lot. And I guess, you know, the recent video where I talked about Walmart's shopping carts, that's the other externality that has been on my mind lately, but you guys have already heard that story. So just know that the thing that I'm getting off my chest right now is that when people are pushing a cost off onto me, I've had it up to here with that bullshit. Okay? And I'm extremely sensitive to it right now because when you see a lot of people daily, you know, you run into people problems more than other people. You know, for however many people that you see more than other people see them, you're going to run into people problems. And I happen to have transactions with a lot of them. So, anyone trying to pull one over on me, you know, and push some cost off onto me, I'm just not going to be happy with. And as soon as I turn off this camera, I'm going to go to doggy jail and let the dog out of doggy jail because I figure whatever it did, it's probably been punished enough in the length of this Ramble video, which is now over. Take care, everyone.